and thank you for joining us for this week's edition of It's Your City. I'm your host, Courtney Bloomer. Today's episode is brought to you by the Red Wagon Network, connecting businesses, nonprofits, and individuals within our Carson City and Northern Nevada community. My guest today is Jayme Foremaster, a Carson City native and now actress living in Los Angeles.
That's right.
Welcome, Jayme.
Thank you.
Jayme, you are now in LA, but you grew up here in Carson.
Yes, I did.
What was that like?
Really, it was the perfect childhood. I mean, I was homeschooled, so we had a huge group of kids that I hung out with every Thursday, and all the parents taught different subjects, and we learned anything from science to arts, and, we went out and played outside and were very creative. I remember making mud pies in the backyard with my best friend Anita and playing pretend, and everyone in town was always just so wonderful and giving, and I have a wonderful memory of my childhood here for sure.
So you left to go to LA.
Yeah.
Very different than Carson City. What made you want to go to LA in the first place? How did you decide to make that change?
Well, it was quite a jump. I mean, most people generally don't move from such a small town to some place that's so populated, and I think I went through a bit of a culture shock for a couple months there. But I knew that LA is where I wanted to go because I wanted to do film and television, and of course, LA was the best place for that. So, and I always enjoyed acting, doing local shows here at the BAC through Wild Horse and stuff like that. So I think that's where the bug first bit me. And also the community, the fact that they're so supportive of the arts, even though there's not that many compared to LA, the people are so giving and they just want to really help people thrive in the arts. And so I think that's why I decided to go there as well, though, because I had that foundation here that I knew that if I could thrive here, I can also thrive there. So,
and you're not the only Carson City resident who has made that trek to either LA or to New York City to pursue performing arts.
Actually, it's kind of funny because in the last couple of years, there's been about 10 of us from my local theater group that have actually moved down there. And we're starting to, people are actually starting to call LA the new Carson. So, because everyone has been going there to pursue their dreams. So, because we had such a good foundation here of people that really gave us the wings to fly there, I think.
Talk about what an average day in LA is like for you. What is it like being an actress? Because you have had some degree of success with that.
Yeah. I wake up and generally the first thing I do is I start submitting for jobs, auditions. And every day that's, you read through the breakdowns that are emailed to you and you submit to whatever you might be right for. And then if you're lucky, you get an audition. And nowadays, a lot of the auditions are digital, so they want you to send those in. So I might have a couple of those to film in a day or lines to memorize for that evening's audition. And then, also do the normal things. Go to the grocery store, I work background work on a lot of TV shows right now. So if I might be on set that day, so if I'm on set, then I'll be there from anywhere from 8 hours to 12, and just seeing how set works on that day, and then coming home and submitting for more auditions, and that's the end of the day, basically.
So kind of like everyone would think of having a daily job. You go to work every day, and it's a little bit different because you're maybe going to be on television at the end of the day.
Yes.
But still, hard work every day, just like people here in Carson City would go to work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the only difference is it's always varying. You're never sure what show you're going to be on, if it's going to be a sitcom or it's going to be a drama. And some days when I'm not on set, then basically my job is to submit for jobs, which is kind of interesting. But just like anyone else here in Carson might have,
So what are some shows that maybe folks would be familiar with that you've been able to secure some background spots on?
I've done Stuck in the Middle, which is a Disney show. Girl Meets World, I had a little bit on that. Silicon Valley, The Ranch on Netflix. So those are a couple shows that you might be able to see me in.
All right, so Carson people can try to tune in and catch you on some episodes of those shows.
Yes, as long as you don't blink.
So, coming back to Carson City now, you're visiting for the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like to come back to your hometown?
You know, it's very rewarding in a lot of respects, but also kind of shocking because the pace in LA is always so busy and there's always something going on, and you kind of have to be a little bit more on guard, especially as a woman, because it's not as safe as a small town, of course. So I think coming home kind of gives me a chance to renew my battery, and it's great. I see kids that I used to be in theater with that were just 5 years old, and now they're in their teens and they've grown and they're just beautiful human beings because of the environment that they've been in. And so I think coming home really rejuvenates me, and of course it's wonderful for me to see my family and the people that I love. Even though I'm really glad that I'm in LA, Nevada and Carson City is always going to be my home because the community and the people here are just one of a kind.
What is your must-do Carson City activity when you come back?
Ooh, that one's tough. Well, I guess around the holidays, the thing that I love the most is walking down with my family to the Capitol grounds. It's just so magical. I mean, in the governor's mansion and the way that everyone in the neighborhood really kind of decorates their house so beautifully. I'm not always in the Christmas spirit, but then coming home, seeing that, it warms my heart. And the fact that when I'm out, people always say hello and good evening, and the small town feel really, it's home, so.
All right. Do you think you'll ever move back to Carson City, or are you pretty set that you're going to be an LA girl now?
Well, I think that I could see myself coming back here and raising a family for sure, but maybe I'd be back and forth between the two, because I think LA is really where my passion exists, but Nevada still holds a lot of home for me. So I don't know. I'll have to see what the future holds, I guess.
I also am a transplant, but I'm a transplant to Carson City.
Oh, there you go.
So it's really great to hear your perspective on what it's like to grow up here, because I grew up someplace very different on the East Coast. So
okay.
So it's really neat to hear your stories about growing up here in Carson City, and I think what's most interesting about that is that no matter where we grow up, it's always really comforting and nice to be able to go back and visit home and that familiar place.
Oh, definitely. I think it's just the fact that you cultivate so many memories there that, even when you go to a new city and such, your childhood, your upbringing, it's always going to be that foundation, and that foundation's always going to be in that little town where you grew up.
All right. Jayme, thanks so much for joining us today, and good luck in LA getting more acting jobs. That's such an exciting thing for you to be pursuing, so break a leg with that too.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Thanks for having me.
All right. And thanks to all of you for joining us for this week's edition of It's Your City, brought to you by Red Wagon Network, connecting businesses and people in Northern Nevada. If your business would like to sponsor a future edition of It's Your City, please contact Darla at the address shown on your screen. I'm your host, Courtney Bloomer, and from all of us here at It's Your City, we'll see you next week.